Okay, I was just talking to Charlie, not his real name, of course, who's a father who needs to get his oldest kid out of the house. He's 19 years of age. He's just got himself a very well-paid job, but he's got a sense of entitlement. But that's not the real issue, is it? The issue is that he needs to step up at home to create some peace, because there's a conflict often between the oldest and his other kids and his wife. But he's passive and he's placid and he doesn't like to get involved. But the irony is that he's a manager and he deals with people problems all day long. But when he gets home, he wants to switch off and he just wants to be calm. And so he doesn't intervene in home stuff because he thinks he shouldn't have to. Presenting problem with getting the kid out for the second time. The birth was the first, but how he needs to step up at home. The kids are starting to see things and to call him out on it. Dad, why don't you fix the situation? He said, often I feel like the meat in the sandwich between the kids and the wife. Even my son said, why don't I fix things? Bring a bit of peace and justice. He sees his role, the dad's role, clearly. In the work as a manager, he does it, but it needs to be transferred to his home. So the skills he needs, he already has, and he uses them every day. His problem is he's switching off the work mind, I'm a manager, I need to help things run properly, when he walks in the front door or when he leaves work. So the work paradigm needs to be transferred to home. He's got the tools, the similar tools. Firstly, as a believer, he needs to pray for God's help. God will help him because it's God's will that the father be responsible for the welfare of the wife, in particular, her loving and nurturing and being protected by him, and the welfare of his sons, bringing them up in the admonition of the Lord, let's say, being an example to them of what it is to be a godly man. I've asked him to get his wife to pray, to get his wife on side, so that she knows what's going on. Now, the problem is she's been dealing with this situation for years on her own. It's going to be a big paradigm change for her to let him step in and start to resolve it his way. She may want to encroach in that process. So he needs to get her on side so that she knows what's going on, that he's trying to make a change so that she can pray for him also. He needs to practice mentally because he is afraid of getting his kids offside. He wants peace and harmony in the home and he doesn't want to be the bad guy. So he needs to practice the words that he will say, and he needs to practice saying them in a heated moment between the wife and the kids. Now, mental practice is almost as good as doing the real thing. In fact, I'd say it's absolutely important that you practice mentally before you do the real thing. Every public speaker knows that this is what you have to do. You have to say the words so that when it comes to a pressure situation, you'll be able to say them under pressure. Basketball players know this. You practice under pressure so that when you're under pressure in a game, you know what that feels like and you can make the shots. And then I spent 30 minutes talking about issues like this, which was fun. The analogy we used from Scripture was David and Goliath, because there's a problem that's too big for little David to beat big Goliath with all his armor on. But David's hope was in the Lord giving him the strength that he needed. Now, David knew that the Lord would give him strength to do what the Lord had called him to do because he'd done it in the past. So he'd had some practice. And so it's right for us and necessary for us to practice what we're going to say, how we're going to interact, look for ways to find solutions prior to the event so that we're prepared. He left very encouraged, which is I'm grateful for.